A very good evening and thank you for joining GBS News at 9. My name is Stephen George and our sign language interpreter tonight is Alan Kiama. And now, President William Ruto has referred the Conflict of Interest Bill 2025 back to Parliament with calls for stricter measures on transparency, accountability and enforcement to align with constitutional values. He also signed the Exercise Duty Amendment Bill into law, removing the 25% tax on imported transformers, a move expected to lower electricity connection cost and improve power supply across the country.
President William Ruto has returned the Conflict of Interest Bill 2025 to Parliament for reconsideration, emphasizing the need for stronger provisions on transparency, enforcement and alignment with constitutional values of integrity and good governance.
This morning, I have just referred back to Parliament the Conflict of Interest Law or Bill, because in my opinion, it doesn't meet the threshold of the expectations of the people of Kenya. As public servants, we cannot afford to carry the baggage of self-interest into public service. And we must take accountability with the seriousness it deserves.
While acknowledging that the bill largely addresses conflict of interest, the president insisted on higher standards for accountability and anti-corruption.
I expect both houses of parliament to exercise leadership in making sure that we get a piece of law that will help us manage and eliminate eventually matters corruption that in many cases come as a result of conflict of interest for public officials who serve not the public but their interest.
President Ruto also assented the Excise Duty Amendment Bill 2025, which removes the 25% duty on imported fully assembled electronic transformers and their parts. This move aims to reduce electricity connection costs and tariff by lowering the price of transformers and cutting replacement expenses.
And this bill is very good because it makes the cost of transformers to the consumers and therefore the cost of power to the consumers cheaper, brings the cost of our energy delivery lower.
Trizatiengo, GBS News.
Moving on swiftly, the newly appointed cabinet secretaries and principal secretaries have been sworn in at State House Nairobi after the National Assembly approved them, and their swearing in today completes officially marks the beginning of their roles and duties in the public service. This state function was led by President William Ruto as the 2 CASs and 14 PSS stated their commitment to the public service through the oath, as Davis Karani reports.
I, Geoffrey Kiringa Ruku, been appointed a cabinet secretary of Kenya.
It marked the beginning of a new responsibility of service to the country as state officers, after 2 cabinet secretaries and 14 principal secretaries adhered to the call by President William Ruto as he keeps on broadening and widening his administration.
Being appointed a cabinet secretary of Kenya,
being called upon to exercise the functions of principal secretary, do swear that except with the authority of the president, I will not directly or indirectly reveal.
Hannah Wendot takes over the Ministry of Gender, Culture, Art and Heritage as Geoffrey Ruku replaced Justin Muturi in the Ministry of Public Service, Human Capital Development and Special Programs after they were approved by the National Assembly.
That I will obey, respect and uphold this Constitution of Kenya and all the laws of the Republic.
Alongside the 2 CSS were 14 PSS who are also sworn in, and they include Jen Kere, Cyril Odede, Caroline Wanjiru, Oluka Frederick, Abdi Ibrahim, Judith Nayai, Boniface Baraza, Ali Abdul Razak, Stephen Isaboke, Fikrin Jacobs, Karen Acheng and Aden Abdi Mila, completing the list of the newly absorbed state officers.
This is the coming together of the willing. There is nobody who will be forced to be part of this transformation. It is the coming together of the willing, not to serve parochial, narrow, personal interests of leaders or individuals or parties.
You might wonder yourself why swear in state officers, and this is the reason. This is always a ceremony which honors the constitutional imperative set forth under Article 152 of the Kenyan Constitution, Clause 4, which stipulates that a cabinet secretary assumes office by swearing or affirming faithfulness to the people and the Republic of Kenya. The clause also states that before taking or assuming any state office, a person must subscribe to the oath of office. Davis Karani, GBS News, Nairobi.
As new cabinet nominees and principal secretaries were being sworn in today at State House in Nairobi, youth in Kericho County have voiced their concerns on the appointment of Hannah Cheptumo as Cabinet Secretary for Gender. The remarks on femicide made by the Honorable Cheptumo on Monday as she faced a parliamentary committee did not go well with the youth.
I now call upon Ms. Hannah Wendot Cheptumo, Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Gender, Culture, the Arts and Heritage.
She was called and she did not disappoint, marching majestically, focused and ready to face the monumental task ahead of her.
I, Anna Wendot Cheptumo, being appointed a Cabinet Secretary of Kenya, do swear that I will at all times be faithful to the Republic of Kenya.
But even before she sends her name and the ink dries up, as well as an assurance handshake with the appointing authority, a section of youth from her home, Kericho County, have today come out on her guns blazing over these remarks she made on Monday on the femicide issue before a parliamentary vetting committee.
The girls who have been killed in Airbnbs are in universities. They're educated.
They're educated, but those ones are looking for money. Yes. You know, a girl has many needs.
Point of order.
The agitated youth now want President William Ruto to reject Cheptumo and appoint a new CS for the gender ministry.
Jina naitwa Anastasia Cherotich. Nataka kuongelelea mambo CS gender aliongea. Juzi aliongea akasema hawa wasichana wenye wanapatikana lodgings ni wanatafuta pesa. She's the CS nominee. Afai kuongea vitu kama hizo as a CS nominee for gender. It should be somebody that support the vulnerable, the girls and the gender at large.
Kwa majina naitwa Kelvin Kipchirchir, natoka maeneo bunge ya Inamoi. Hatukubaliani kabisa na CS gender Hannah Wendot huyo wa Baringo. Tunaomba rais wetu akansolie maneno ya huyo mama na ampe mtu mwingine. Hafai kutamka asema ati wasichana wenye wanauliwa huko kwa marooms ati wanatafuta pesa. Kwani huyu CS ana wasichana?
Victor Ding, GBS News at 9.
As the number of displaced people worldwide continues to rise, the International Monetary Fund is urging countries to rethink their approach to migration. In a new report, the International Monetary Fund highlights how refugees and migrants, when integrated with the right policies, can strengthen labor markets, increase tax revenues, and drive long-term economic growth.
Monetary Fund's 2025 World Economic Outlook has spotted migration and refugee policies as key drivers of long-term economic growth. In its newly released chapter, the International Monetary Fund emphasizes that when managed effectively, migration can expand labor markets, increase tax revenue, and stimulate economic growth.
I think the evidence is very clear that refugees don't have to be a burden. And that's something that the report also points to. And with the right policies in place, refugees can in fact contribute to an economy. They can bolster the labor supply, right? They can provide an increase in tax revenue. And of course, they can drive GDP growth.
Echoing the IMF's finding, the International Organization for Migration urged governments to include migration in broader development and labor strategies, highlighting the need for health and employment policies that include migrants, especially as demographic shifts intensify.
What we see is that governments wishing to develop well-managed migration policies will have to consider the links between mobility and development in a number of contexts, such as whether and to what extent migrants are included in their health policies, for example, or, talking about displacement, when displacement is included in risk reduction strategies.
With 90% of future global population growth expected in just 26 countries, mainly in sub-Saharan Africa and South Asia, while 76 others face decline, forward-thinking labor market planning and investment in skills are seen as essential. Together, these organizations are calling for a shift in global thinking from seeing migration as a problem to managing it as an opportunity. Triza Tiengo, GBS News.
It is time for us to take a short break. Keep your feedback streaming into our social media platform. GBS TV Africa, the SMS line is 2114. We'll be right back.
You move my skin and I won't cry. But you might. What am I? Are you still practicing art ukifanya your engineering? Umezimix ama umeenda tu fully on art? Sasa najua hebu kwanza tutajia because najua wezi tajia wote. Just some of the people some of the celebs wenye umeweza ku reveal your art to them.
Je Kroba bibi yake. Hiyo siku walifurahia mbaya. Na mimi nilikuwa emotional mbaya sana.
Lilia.
Go and check that video guys. Nililia mbaya.
I was seeing kuna place ulikuwa unasema like Biendo alikusaidia sana in building your career. Unaweza tuambie hiyo moment when ilikuanga?
We
How to avoid food poisoning. Tips to prevent foodborne illness. You'll need sealable containers, a cutting board, antibacterial soap, lemon juice or vinegar. Step 1. Check the dates of the food products before buying and before cooking. Step 2. Store food in the recommended temperatures to keep them fresh. Step 3. Discard any food that smells or looks questionable. Step 4. Separate meat and vegetables at storage. Step 5. Use plastic chopping boards and not wooden ones. Bacteria can get trapped in wooden boards. Step 6. Wash your hands thoroughly with antibacterial soap before handling food or after handling meat. Step 7. Refrigerate leftovers within 2 hours of cooking.
Because we are here to entertain and educate at the same time. So the question of the day, have you ever benefited from any youth-led initiative?
What pushed me to get into the ground, one, was born HIV positive, by the way. So when I was born HIV positive, I felt like the society and the youth need to be educated much on about the HIV and HIV management.
Someone was confessing and alikuwa anasema like yeye ako HIV positive ni student but yeye badala ya ajue venye atasaidia wengine yana try venye atasambaza.
Unajua pia kitu kingine yenye natusumbua sisi ma youth ni kiburi. You don't want to learn. Unaona?
Yeah.
Be there to learn. My youth are doing things that they are not supposed to do. Kwa sababu anataka kitu yenye iko beyond yeye. Iko beyond haezi afford. Unaona? Manze mimi nataka kubamba wase kuchafua meza, kukuwa na dem sijui mwenye anakaaje. Ndio at least wase wa feel like mimi nimeweza. Manze mimi hiyo ya kuweza, acha tuweze ki mindset. Na pia uset goals. Kama una goals manze kwa hii life sijui penye. Ni kama tu yani you should live with a purpose, not in purpose. Unajua most of us are living in purpose. Whereby yani wewe uko tu manze. Hata unataka kukatia dema na kuambia habari yako mzuri. Unadoingi nini ati mimi niko tu. What is mimi niko?
everywhere. GBS.
And welcome back now. Health Cabinet Secretary Eden Duale has suspended two senior officials, Dr. Morris and Dr. Evelyn Chege, over alleged involvement in unethical kidney transplants at Medihill Hospital, Eldoret. The hospital is accused of harvesting kidneys from poor Kenyans for $294,000 and selling them to foreigners for 3.2 million shillings. All kidney transplant services at the facility have been halted and patients redirected to 8 licensed hospitals, including Kenyatta National Hospital and Aga Khan. Duale appointed Dr. Martin Sirengo to lead KBTTS and formed an independent committee to audit Medihill's transplants over the past 5 years, with a report due in 90 days. He also ordered the KMPDC to stop licensing foreign doctors except from EAC countries amid claims it approved practitioners banned in Pakistan and India. Now, the board must now audit all foreign medical licenses and report within 90 days.
Practice and ethical breaches in kidney transplant services at Medihill Hospital in Eldoret or Singishu County. In December of 2023, the Ministry of Health constituted a multidisciplinary fact-finding mission to investigate these very serious concerns. The team was comprised of transplant specialists, ethicists, representatives from the Kenya Blood Transfusion and Transplant Services, the Kenya Medical Practitioners and Dentists Council, who are our regulators, the Kenya Renal Association, senior ministry officials, experts from the academia. Their mandate was clear. They were to verify claims raised by the Transplantation Society. They were to audit the transplant procedures at Medihill and assess compliance with clinical, legal, and ethical standards. The report produced by the team was not signed because of dissenting opinions of some team members on the recommendation. But sad to say, that report was also not submitted officially to the Ministry of Health for further action. And you must know that myself, this is my 16th day, and my PS, this is his first day. Following the recent development, and in the interest of protecting patient safety and upholding public trust in our health system, I am today issuing the following directives. Number one, I'm appointing an independent expert committee of transplant experts drawn from both the public and the private health facilities, professional associations, and relevant regulatory bodies of men and women of high integrity to undertake a comprehensive audit of all kidney transplant services at Medihill Group of Hospitals for the past 5 years, with a focus on governance, clinical practice, ethical compliance, and patient safety protocols.
Heavy security presence has been deployed in Losuk, Samburu County as investigations begin following the attack on Director General of Public Debt Management at Treasury Dr. Haron Sirima's home. According to reports, a notorious gang attacked the homestead of Sirima, who previously worked as the Deputy Governor for the Central Bank of Kenya. The gang members, who are believed to be cattle rustlers, are accused of storming the homestead on Thursday morning, cutting the electric fence and making away with an unknown number of cattle. The attackers are said to have stormed into the homestead armed with guns and started shooting in there before they finally got away with the cattle. According to the residents, this is not the first time the former CBK deputy governor has been the cattle have been stolen in the home and electricity disconnected.
Wahalifu walituvamia hapa Rosuk kwa boma ya mzee Haron Lesirma, ambayo walikuja wakakata fence yake ambayo imewekwa kwa stima na ng'ombe ziko huko ndani wakaiba, na tumeona kitu mbaya sana kwa sababu ilikuwa imetulia, lakini sasa imeanza tena mambo mabaya,
na ya kwamba nimeona maneno yamekuwa ngumu, sababu sasa naona wasitu wanatufamia na wanachukua mafugo yetu. Kama huyo mzee anaitwa Haron Lesirma, ni mara ya pili sasa ng'ombe yake kuibiwa na kukata stima.
Hii ni mara ya pili kufunjwa stima, eka 800 ambayo imeweka stima, na ng'ombe yake awali ilienda na ilifamiwa tena kupelekwa ng'ombe 80. Na lisha ya serikali, ya juhudi ya serikali kufanya katika area hii, tumeona kwamba mambo imezidi.
Sudan is marking 2 years since the outbreak of devastating civil war that began on 15th of April 2023 between Sudanese armed forces and the paramilitary rapid forces. This conflict has led to catastrophic consequences for the country and its people, resulting in one of the world's worst humanitarian crises. The conflict has not so far caused tens of thousands of deaths, with estimates suggesting over 200,000 civilian casualties from violence and famine combined. More than 15 million people have been displaced internally or as refugees, making it the largest displacement crisis globally. Over 30 million Sudanese now require humanitarian assistance, with widespread hunger collapsing health systems. Water scarcity halted education for millions of children and soaring sexual and gender-based violence. Now, the RSF has been accused of committing atrocities including genocide, particularly in the Darfur region, with systematic executions and targeted sexual violence against specific ethnic groups. Recent escalations include brutal attacks on displacement camps such as Zamzam in North Darfur, where hundreds of civilians and humanitarian workers had been killed, further exacerbating the humanitarian disaster.
لكن خيار تفاوض ده أنا في نظري غايته مع الناس زي المشاهد في خيار تفاوض رغم التأثيرات ورغم الشيء اللي حصل، وأنا يعني عارف إنه في معاناة كثيرة جدا حصلت للناس، ناس فقدت أموال وفقدت أرواحها وفقدت يعني أغلى ما عندها.
الوضع هسه الحمد لله يعني ما أقول لك يعني 100 لكن الحمد لله يعني ماشي كويس. بالنسبة للوضع العام ماشي كويس، لكن بالنسبة للماديات الوضع صعب شوية، يعني الوضع صعب للشعب السوداني عامة، يعني لا أنا برأيي لا غير يعني.
والله أنا أمنياتي إنه الناس البلد السودان بأمانة يرجعوا، خاصة الشباب. ممكن أقول إنه هنا دعوة للشباب لأنه هم يرجعوا. عارفة إنه ممكن تكون ما في شغل، ما في حاجات تخلي الناس إنها هي تتحرك وكده، لكن أقلها إنه الشباب لما يرجعوا.
It is time for us to take a short break. Keep your feedback streaming into our social media platform at GBS TV Africa. The SMS line is 21114. We'll be right back.
Trick or treat. In this class, we're going to make ta-da! A Halloween pumpkin basket. I hope it was fun and interesting for you to learn.
So what we are going to be talking about today is social media and mental health. Social media and mental health.
Social media is good on its part. We don't usually say something is 100% good or 100% bad. But in terms of social media now, it is a good tool.
You can have that boundaries. Si kila mtu wa kutext, si kila message unapaswa kupitia. No. You have your own opinion and priority. Because hata siku hizi unaweza pata you in one house maybe with your son, but ako bedroom yako is simply going to text you to tell you nifanyie kitu ama I need this instead of just coming.
Life is very personal. It's I to decide. Niamue yenyewe nitakuwa carried away by this wave or control this particular urge ya kukua online, or will I let it carry me off?
Everywhere, GBS.
Now to international news. Democratic U.S. Senator Chris Van Hollen has denied access to Kilmer Abrego Garcia, who was deported under controversial circumstances and is currently being held in a notorious prison in El Salvador. Van, who had traveled to the country to advocate for Abrego Garcia's release, was informed by the El Salvador's vice president that he could not meet or speak with him. Here's more on the story.
Maryland Senator Chris Van Hollen arrived in El Salvador to secure the release of Abrego Garcia and highlight the human rights violations surrounding his case. However, upon meeting Vice President Ulloa, the senator was told that the Salvadorian government will not authorize any contact with the detained man. According to Van Hollen, Ulloa explained that El Salvador's decision to keep Abrego Garcia locked up was linked to U.S. financial support. In response, the senator questioned why American taxpayers were funding the incarceration of someone who was, in his view, wrongfully abducted and had committed no crime. This remark comes after a legal ruling that Abrego Garcia's deportation carried out by the Trump administration was a mistake due to administrative error.
And I won't stop trying, and I can assure the president, the vice president, that I may be the first United States senator to visit El Salvador on this issue, but there will be more, and there will be more members of Congress coming.
White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt criticized Van Hollen's actions.
Maryland Democrat Senator Chris Van Hollen rushed to Dulles Airport this morning to fly to El Salvador, potentially using taxpayer dollars to demand the release of deported, illegal, alien MS-13 terrorist. The Democrats and the media in this room have continually and wrongly labeled Kilmer Abrego Garcia as a Maryland father. There is no Maryland father. Let me reiterate. Kilmer Abrego Garcia is an illegal alien, MS-13 gang member and foreign terrorist who was deported back to his home country.
Abrego Garcia's lawyer denied Kilmer being associated with the MS-13 gang. The U.S. Supreme Court had already ruled that Abrego Garcia's deportation was unlawful, ordering his return. The U.S. Department of Homeland Security has stated it lacks the authority to intervene. Abrego is held in one of the most notorious prisons in Central America. The prison holds dangerous MS-13 gang members who terrorized El Salvador by committing crimes of murder and rape. As a result, El Salvador has become one of the safest countries in the American continent. The ongoing situation highlights the complexities of international law and human rights, especially when it comes to deportation and the treatment of individuals accused of gang affiliations. This is Abdihamid Ali, GBS News.
Now, in a heartbreaking news, Gabonese international Aaron Bupedza has tragically passed away at the age of 28. The striker, who was playing for Zhijiang FC in China reportedly fell from the 11th floor of his apartment building. Now, he made a lasting impact on the field, particularly during the 2021 African Cup of Nations, and leaves behind a legacy of one of Gabon's top footballers.
Gabon international footballer Aaron Bupenza has tragically passed away at the age of 28. The Gabon Football Association confirmed he fell from the 11th floor of his apartment in China, where he played for Zhejiang FC in the Chinese Super League. Bupenza was widely remembered for his standout performances during the 2021 Africa Cup of Nations in Cameroon. Bupemba's career saw him play across several countries, including the United States, Romania, and Turkey, before moving to China in 2025. Known for his adaptability, he impressed at each club he joined, most recently making his mark at Zhejiang FC. With 35 caps and 8 goals for Gabon since 2016, Bupemba's legacy in football is undeniable. His death is under investigation, and fans worldwide mourn the loss of a talented and beloved player. Elvin Muyodi, GBS Sports.
Today, the Emir of Qatar met with the Russian President Vladimir Putin to discuss key issues in the Middle East. He assured Putin that Syria's newly appointed leader is eager to strengthen ties with Russia. This statement comes at a crucial time when Russia is working to preserve its military presence in Syria after the fall of Assad regime. Meanwhile, Iran's foreign minister arrived in Russia, delivering a letter from the supreme leader to President Putin. The letter is expected to address both global issues and strengthen bilateral ties between the two nations, especially in Iran faces mounting pressure over its nuclear program. The head of the UN nuclear watchdog has urged to be included in the talks regarding the nuclear deal. Abdi Ahmed has more.
The Emir of Qatar met with the Russian leader Vladimir Putin to discuss key issues in the Middle East and the war in Ukraine. The Emir assured Putin that Syria's appointed leader Ahmed al-Shara aims to restore relations with Russia. Putin had growing concerns over Russia's influence in the Middle East following the unexpected downfall of Syria's long-standing leader Bashar al-Assad. While the Iranian foreign minister arrived in Russia, the visit comes at a tense time as the US intensifies its threat against Iran, with President Trump warning of a military action if Iran does not reach an agreement regarding its nuclear activities. Last weekend, US and Iranian officials held talks in Oman, which both sides characterized as positive. However, ahead of the next round of negotiations in Italy, Iran remains firm on its stance. The country's right to enrich uranium is non-negotiable. While the head
Russian air defense systems successfully intercepted 71 Ukrainian drones across 6 different regions. The majority of the drones were taken down in the Kursk region. Additionally, Russia launched a mass drone attack in southeastern Ukraine, resulting in the death of 3 people, including a child. Meanwhile, top Ukrainian officials have arrived in Paris to engage in high-level discussions with the US and European leaders. The meeting comes after growing European concerns over Trump administration approach to the Russian-Ukraine war and its shifting stance towards Moscow. Here's more on the story.
The Russian Ministry of Defense reported the extensive use of air defense systems to counter the Ukrainian drone attacks, with the highest concentration of downed drones occurring in the Kursk region. Russian authorities claim no significant damage or casualties from the attacks. Authorities in the Ivanovo region, located east of Moscow, confirmed a drone strike on the town of Shuya, where no harm was reported. Interestingly, this is the second consecutive night that Shuya has been targeted, which is notable because the town is a home to a Russian missile brigade linked to a deadly strike on the Ukrainian city of Sumy, which killed at least 35 people on Palm Sunday. Russia also launched drone attacks which hit various parts of Dnipro. 3 people lost their lives, including a child, while 30 people were injured, with 16 victims dealing with severe injuries as the city grapples with the aftermath. Emergency services are working to contain the fires and provide medical assistance to those affected. The attack is a reminder of the intensity of the conflict in Ukraine as Russia continues its aerial bombardment, targeting both military and civilian infrastructure. The Ukrainian delegation, which includes the country's foreign and defense ministers, is set to meet with the U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Trump's envoy Steve Witkoff, as well as European officials from France, Germany, and the UK. The visit comes in response to growing concerns that the Trump administration may be softening its stance on Moscow, especially after a proposed 30-day ceasefire was rejected by Russia. Ukraine and its European allies are pressing Washington to adopt a firmer position after a deadly Russian attack on Ukrainian civilians in the city of Sumy last Sunday. Ukraine and the US have discussed the mineral deal, with both sides set to sign a memorandum soon. The agreement is designed to boost economic growth in both countries by facilitating investment and development in Ukraine's natural resource sectors.
Good results have been achieved by the Ukrainian government working with the Americans. Basic legal matters are almost finalized, and if everything continues to move constructively, the agreement will bring economic results to both our countries, Ukraine and America.
The deal has the potential to create new opportunities for the Ukrainian economy while also serving the interest of the US in both military and economic spheres. With further negotiations ahead, the outcome of this agreement will likely have significant implications for the future of US-Ukraine relations and the Russia-Ukraine war. This is Abdihamid Ali, GBS News.
It's time for your most favorite segment of the show, the sports news. Let's get sporty. Kenya's junior starlets are on the brink of history as they prepare to face Cameroon this Sunday in the final round of the 2025 FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup qualifiers. With a place at the global showpiece in Morocco up for grabs, the youngsters are calling on fans to turn up in numbers and cheer them on at Nyayo Stadium. Our very own sports reporter Elvis Muyodi has more.
The junior starlets are ready for battle as they face Cameroon this Sunday at Nyayo National Stadium in the first leg of the final round of the 2025 FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup qualifiers. Defender Lorini Lavonga is confident, drawing inspiration from their solid performances in Morocco, where they earned a 1-1 draw and secured a 2-0 victory.
Kwa saa hii nasema morali ya team iko juu. Tumepata hiyo confidence, watu psyche iko juu, na venye tumeweka hizi ma-friendly, at least zimetusaidia juu venye tulicheza na Morocco hatukuogopa juu tulikuwa tumecheza World Cup na teams kama England na tuka build confidence.
Forward Mwanakombo Bakari is urging fans to show up in large numbers, while goalkeeper Scovia Aworas praised coach Mildred Cheche for setting up the vital Morocco friendlies, as the team knows the power of home support as they push for a strong start.
Kenya naweza sema mafans wote wakuje tu pamoja, wakuje kutusupport because junior starlets hatuwezi kuangusha.
Personally, what I can tell to the fans outside there is that we need their support. And just the way they know that Cameroon is not an easy team, but as junior starlets, we are ready to face them with strong confidence and also strong belief as the people who had already gone to the World Cup.
With a 5-0 aggregate win over Uganda behind them, the starlets now aim to take a big step towards a second consecutive World Cup appearance. The return leg is set for April 25th in Yaounde, Cameroon. Elvin Muyodi, GBS Sports.
Manchester United is making a bold call ahead of their high-stakes Europa League quarter-final match with nylon after a wave of criticism and a weekend on the sidelines against Newcastle United in the Premier League. Andrew Onana is back in goal. He has more on the decision and what it means for United's European hopes.
Andre Onana is set to start for Manchester United in today's crucial second leg quarter-final match of the Europa League against Lyon. The goalkeeper was left out of the team for the 4-1 loss to Newcastle after a string of costly mistakes, including two in last week's 2-2 draw with Lyon. His performance drew sharp criticism from Lyon's Nemanja Matic, who labeled him one of the worst goalkeepers in Man United history. Man United coach Ruben Amorim explained the decision was about giving Onana a mental break rather than a punishment.
People will say that it was a bad decision. So we never know. I'm trying to be clear on things and try to make the evaluation be really simple, not overthinking. And when I imagine the game and I see Andre Onana, he had 1 weekend that he rest. Now he's ready to return to the competition, and I chose Andre to start this game.
He felt it was the right time for backup goalkeeper Altay Baindir to step in, although Baindir also made an error in the defeat to Newcastle. With a place in next season's Champions League at stake, United are hoping Onana can bounce back and deliver a big performance in a must-win European night. Elvin Muyodi, GBS Sports.
Leon, it is. We have come to the end of the news bulletin. It is always a pleasure having you on board. Let's do this again, same time, same channel. My name is Stephen George, and our sign language interpreter tonight has been Alan Kiama. Happy Easters.
Everywhere, GBS.